A tear is the color of white of silence, of loneliness. A tear is the color of blue of sadness. It floats. It is the color of blue of dreams.
How did I get involved with People First? It was a CMR, Canadian Association for the Mentally Retarded, newsletter that I read that talked about a parents group, and Hamilton, I think it was, that were doing some neat stuff. And I wanted to do something. I didn't know what. And I wanted something that people controlled themselves and had their own destiny. And that sounded like a pretty damn good thing. Thus I started the idea of, or what became People First. Only I put a different spin on it. I said I wanted it to be people who were labeled as having a mental retardation at that time, and they need something not controlled by somebody else. They need to speak out for their whatever is bothering them.
I wanted to get some people together to talk about how they felt about being labeled. And there was this gentleman by the name of Peter Park. Peter is a guy who was traveling around at the time and talking to different groups about telling their own stories. And he remembered his time as always being locked up and being told what to do every day, every minute of the day. And nobody thought of him as someone who would be capable of living in a community. And when I heard Peter tell that story, it made me realize that I had a story to tell also. And the fact that we go out and tell our stories just shows the kind of bravery we have, I think, not knowing how the public's going to react all the time. But we want so much for the public to hear about how we've been hurt. It plays a very particular role in the lives of people who want to make it in society, who have dreams and capacities like everybody else. Because people thought that as a child I wouldn't be able to make any friends anywhere else or learn anything. They were wrong.
They need to be able to talk. They need to know their rights. I didn't know I had rights before I went into the institution. I didn't know that I had rights when I came out in '78. So nobody needed to live that sort of life, and my way of thinking. Everybody ought to know that they have rights. Besides Pat being a personal friend, he was a great storyteller, deinstitutionalization task force, I think it was. And he got to go in the institutions, and I think that was a great contribution, the work that he did in the institutions. The name change was something that the members right across Canada wanted, not just one in Ontario or two in Ontario, but right across from BC to Nova Scotia. Right across, everybody wanted a different name, a name that was non-labeling, and they suggested community living. Community living is where it's all about. Everybody wants to be in the community and living positive lives with, sure, we all need supports to do things. And it just happens, just give us the support, and we can live in a community, as the name says, community living. The most important thing about these kids, the fact that it brought us all together, People First, all together, and the parents' movement, all together about one thing. We realized with that we could work together towards a common issue.
The mentally handicapped have won a big victory in the Supreme Court of Canada. In a unanimous decision, the court says that where there is no medical reason, the mentally handicapped cannot be sterilized against their will. Our legal specialist, Vicki Russell, has the story.
The case began in Prince Edward Island 8 years ago. A widowed mother went to court to ask for a hysterectomy for her daughter, then 23 years old. Their identity is secret, and the girl is known only as Eve. The mother wanted her daughter sterilized after she became romantically interested in a man. She felt she was in the best position to know what was best for her daughter and that the court should authorize the operation. But a group of handicapped people like Barb Good disagreed. Today's ruling is one of their biggest legal victories, and they wept with joy.
For all the people who are in jeopardy of getting sterilized or whatever, that will help this decision.
The Supreme Court said neither Eve nor any other mentally handicapped person can be sterilized without his or her consent.
For so long, we haven't been respected, and now I think that people are getting to respect us as people first, and not handicapped.
Wouldn't be me.
The important thing was that no person shall be sterilized without their consent.
I lived in a group home for a number of years, and I was a Crown Ward of the Children's Aid until I was 22. Taken away from my mom was because she had problems. My dad had problems with drinking and stuff like that. And I had a hard time living in the community and being accepted because of my disability. He's the one that got me involved. Malcolm Jeffries was the biggest part of my life and influenced me to start a People First group in Windsor. And then he says, I'll give you a couple of numbers. You call these guys and we'll invite them to come down to Windsor. It was Peter Park and Pat Worth. They were my two mentors when I came in. So Peter and Pat brought me under their wing and mentored me to be part of People First because they said I was a really good leader, but I said, Peter, we don't compare. I never lived in an institution, but I lived in a group home. Never went to a neighborhood school, things like that. But same thing as Pat, he told me the same thing, hang with me, you'll get places in this movement. There's many of us in this country, worldwide, like, still being mistreated. People still don't trust a lot of people in their lives, especially with the closure of the institutions. It took myself to meet with the minister herself, Pupatello, to say, Sandra, you gotta close them. No, this has always been an issue with Ontario. It's always been the biggest one.
Without one, and you know I gotta go. That was the last thing you said to me, and the last time I ever held you near me. Now I'm gonna run, I'm gonna hide, I'm gonna lock away the fear, the pain, the anger of love inside. And I'm gonna run, 'cause if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be me, I wouldn't be anyone or anything. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be me.
I feel that Beth French was one of the key advisors. She had a sense of values and she was able to share those values with people and make them feel comfortable to actually do things for themselves.
What I see with a really good advisor, they understand the issues. Either they worked somewhere in the field or volunteered somewhere. Advisors have to learn to listen. It's important. They have to listen. And that's one of the things advisors really struggle with, because they want to give the answer, but it's not their movement, it's our movement. The biggest thing I'd like to see out of an advisor, for myself, is respect each other.
I met Peter Park back in the middle 80s. He came to St. Mary's, our little town where I live, and David Lincoln. And, you know, so had some really good, it was really valuable, and I knew that from the get-go, and it was so important at that time. I was meeting a lot of people who were moving out of institutions, and People First of Ontario just gave people a voice and gave people a real, really confirmed the fact that people needed to live in community and not live in segregated, congregated, warehousing kind of places. So, I think a good advisor is somebody who listens really well, who can shut up, which isn't always easy, who understands a lot of the issues too, and can really help people think more deeply about what those issues are, and who just has a big respect for members to use their own voice and realizes that process is really, really important in People First.
What's really important to have a People First group is because we're a very autonomous organization. Nobody makes our decisions as a movement. We make them ourselves. We run our own meetings, we run our organization. We have people that we pay to do some work. We have volunteers. With the council, it's been a competition for the last maybe 15 years. Like and when you go to a meeting, oh, we already talked to the self-advocates already. And we're going, what? I says, that's not right. Where People First Ontario is totally separated, has its own board, has its own entity. And it's really important to say that we run the organization. We don't have to go in front of the board and say, oh, we need your approval to do this. In the last few years, it's getting harder because this council is getting bigger and bigger by the day. And we're losing the members because of money. If you don't have a good leader to keep the organization going, then it becomes a problem.
I'm gonna leave in the morning. Goodbye comes without warning, and you know
It helps people speak up.
that
It helps
was the last
people
thing
to share.
you said to me, and the last time.
My name is Corey Earl, and I'm the president of People First of Ontario. And my hopes for People First is to ensure that people are more included in society.
We're fighting to survive. Like, even today, still, with some money, we're still struggling. But it taught me to really look at my rights, my choices, and my wants, and my needs.
I met him at 6 o'clock at night, and this was 7 o'clock in the morning of the next day, and we were flying on the plane to BC, and we were just starting to land, and you come in on Vancouver Airport over the water, and he said, "Peter, we're gonna crash."
The first year, I had all women on the board. I was the only male. 7 females and myself. So they were calling me the stud muffin.
Hi.
Hi, Cameron.
Hi, how are you doing?
Tell us your name.
Hey,
Joe
Joe.
Lambert. What's your name, Howard?
I'm Charlie.
See ya.
And I'm gonna run, 'cause if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be anyone or anything. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't.
No, we're just the old guys from
Yeah,
the old
we're
school.
the old guys.
Thanks, Phil.
Peterborough. Say your name and where you're from. Gail from Chatham.
Like Peter says, you don't get tired. You don't get tired, angry, lonely, or tired. Just keep fighting to the end.
A tear is the color of red of a smile. It is calm. It is the color of yellow of warmth of a hug. A tear is the color of an orange, very sweet and cheerful. It is the color of green, soft and gentle. It is peaceful. A tear is a rainbow.
I'm gonna hide. I'm gonna lock away the fear, the pain, the anger, the love inside. I'm gonna run. 'Cause if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be anyone or anything. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be me.